Oh, so this video is going to be a little bit different, guys. Um, I was going to talk about Tulsi Gabbard needing two more polls, putting her at the top at 2% so she can make the debate in September. And I know this is mostly a political channel, and I do want to keep it that way for the most part, but remember what I said in my first video. I don't want this to just be a political channel. I want this to be a channel where men can come in and express freely about sexual abuse or abuse, period. Again, I'm a victim of sexual abuse and abuse, period. With my exes, I've been emotionally abused, mentally abused, because I was already at a low point. And when I got with a couple of the exes that I got with, I felt like I was done with myself for the most part. When it all stems from me having been abused as a kid and never being able to get over it. It's still something that I deal with today at the age of 34. It's not easy. I've spoken about it. I've tried to write about it. I have written about it. Whether it's a journal, whether it's through a song. I don't know. I just don't know how one gets over it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the issue for me. Not knowing how to get over it. You know, being molested as a kid, having your mom walk in on it, and then totally disregarding it, acting as if it never happened, and then making fun of you when you actually do tell her, which is what happened. I told my mom when I was 12, before I got raped, that I was being molested, and her and the person who was molesting me were in the living room talking in Spanish about me and saying that I was crazy, that I needed to go to a hospital, and this, that, and the third. And it's things like that that need to be spoken about in the Spanish community and the African American community, in every community. You know, I think men, boys are so, they feel so, at least for me, I felt so hurt and empty and nasty and numb. There was so many emotions that I was feeling, and I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. You know, I at the age of 16, I turned to alcohol. I was drinking every day from the age of 16 to the age of 18. I was drinking heavily every day. I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to feel anything anymore. You know, school became just something that I felt like I had to do, not that I wanted to do. I didn't see a future for myself. You know, I saw my mom as a night walker, as a lady of the night. You know, my dad was, you know, doing drugs and beating my mom. You know, and I was being molested, you know, and not only was I an alcoholic, I was a drunk. Not even an alcoholic. An alcoholic goes to meetings. I was a drunk. I was drinking every day for 2 years because I didn't want to feel anything, and I was too scared to commit suicide, because even though I'm not religious, I was always taught that when you commit suicide, your soul doesn't go to heaven. Your soul stays at limbo. So I was scared to commit suicide, even though I was killing myself. I smelled like alcohol. Like alcohol was seeping through my pores. It was crazy. But this was my escape. You know, not caring about the future, because I never thought that I'd have one. You know, I didn't think I'd live past by like 21, 22. And a part of me didn't want to. you don't know how to deal with the hurt. You don't know how to deal with the pain. And I'm 34 and I still don't know how to deal with the hurt. I still don't know how to deal with the pain. It's not even, it hasn't even become easier. It really hasn't. It's just there. And there's nothing that I can do about it, I feel. I'm going to start going to counseling and therapy and things like that, but I have faith that it's going to work. I don't know that it's going to work. I've already spoken about it. I've spoken about everything. The only thing that I can think of is maybe freeing that 4-year-old little boy. I was talking to a friend like last week, 2 weeks ago, and he told me he felt sad for me. That not for me, but for that little boy who never got that hug that he needed, for that little boy who never got that love that he felt that he needed. And maybe that's what it's about for me. Freeing that 4-year-old little boy, like he's still in there and he is crying and he is scared and he relives it every single day, and it makes me have to relive it every single day, and I don't blame my dad for what happened. I was told not to tell him by my mom. Like, my mom told me, if you tell him, I'm not backing you up. If you tell him, I'm not gonna say anything. It was that. Even when it came down to me being gay, I'm an openly gay man, but at the age of 18, everybody knew but my dad. And I wanted to tell my dad for a long time, but I was told not to. He's not going to know how to react, and he's going to overreact, and this, that, and the third. But, I listened to that, I blame my mom. I do. And people, and I've been told, oh, don't blame her. She, being a mom doesn't come with a book of instructions. But when you have 5 kids, you should, at some point, you should know what to do. At some point, when your child is saying, "I'm being molested," I'm sorry. There's no excuse for not having been there. There's no excuse for not having protect your child. There's nothing anybody can ever tell me that's going to make me sit there and say, you know what? Let me not blame her. I blame her like 99%. Like 99% for being raped. For being molested. I didn't tell anybody till I was 12 years old, and after I told my mom, again, that's when I was raped. But I will say this, she did walk in on it when I was being molested. And these are the memories that I have, and it's like, how can you be happy having these memories? People look at me and they say, oh my God, you're so happy all the time, and this, that, and the third, and you're such a jolly person, and trust me, it's not easy being happy when you're sad. It's not easy being strong when you are weak. It's not easy. It's really not. I will say, I haven't grown. I feel like I've grown mentally. I feel like I've grown physically. I don't know if I've grown emotionally. I don't trust people. Like, if I couldn't trust my mom, how in the world could I have trust? How can I have trust in anybody else? I have people who I call friends, and I do love, but it's hard. I really have 3 friends. Like, seriously, like, all jokes aside, I have 3 friends, and not that I don't have people that I get along with and that I talk to and that I'm close with, but it's very hard for me to be that way, and with these 3 people, for me, it just comes naturally. Again, this is not to be like, oh my God, woe is me, but these stories need to be told, This happens to boys. This happens a lot, more than people think it does. Just because we don't say it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. You know, a lot of the times, especially when a boy is molested or raped by a female, it's a good thing. Not that it's a good thing, but it's like, oh, well, he is a boy and she's a girl, so he probably liked it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not cool. Like, that's not right at all. Whether it's a girl to a boy or a boy to a boy, or man to a boy, it doesn't matter. It should never happen. The same way if it's a girl to a girl or a girl to a man to a girl. It should never happen. But for some reason, when a woman rapes a boy, it's not taken the same way as when a man rapes a girl. And innocence is being taken away no matter how you want to put it. And yes, they are entering their body. The same way they enter a girl's body, they're entering his body. It should be looked at the exact same way. It should not be, oh, he's a boy, he enjoyed it, or whatever the case may be. You know, there are women who get off on parole for raping boys and who get pregnant by them. I don't understand. I don't get it. Again, as a victim of it, as somebody who grew up in hardship, you know, me wanting to run for political office, me learning about politics, me wanting to help people is because I never got that help that I needed. You know, that help that would have made me want to do more earlier in life rather than later in life. I know now what I want to do, and I'm doing it, but I'm 34. There are people who have been doing it for years, and they're in Congress. Look at AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's only 29 when she was elected for youngest congresswoman ever. You know, there are people like Richard Torres. There are people like Ilhan Omar. These are people who have been doing this for years. But because of how I grew up, the environment I was in, I just didn't think about it. Like, again, I didn't think that I'd have a future. But now that I know that I have one, I want to help people. Like, I don't want men to feel ashamed of this. I want women to feel ashamed of this either. But men, when it comes down to sexual abuse, men, for some reason, they fall to the back. That's just the reality. That's just what it is. Is it right? No, but that's what it is. But that's another reason why I got into politics. You know, like I said, I wanted to help people because I didn't get that help that I needed. Again, I had a prostitute as a mother. I had a drug addict as a father. My mother was a drug addict. My dad was beating my mom. It was so much to deal with as a kid, you know. And, you know, again, and at that point, I ran to food. That was my only way out. That was my only escapism, you know. And all it did was exacerbate the negative situation. You know, because not only was I hurting myself physically at that point, but I was already hurt mentally and emotionally, you know. Anyway, I just want everybody to know that there is a way out, you know. And again, me doing what I'm doing when it comes down to politics is something that I truly believe in my heart I can do, and I do want to help people. That's the end goal. And if you want to talk or reach out to me, please feel free to do so. This conversation needs to be had. It really does. So again, like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Deuces.